Hi, and thank you for being a part of my oral comprehensive exam. My name is Gabrielle Evans, and this video presents me teaching a class on designing effective HRD programs for Diane Strawbridge's HRD 240 class. The video begins with the students collaborating with each other to develop their side of a debate. The debate asks the left side of the classroom to defend why they think hiring an outside trainer is better for the organization, while the right side defends why training with an internal HR group would be most beneficial. After the students use their own knowledge to debate on the topic, I then reinforce the information in my teaching. The rest of the video following the debate features me teaching the students about objectives. Enjoy! So Ms. Strawbridge is the boss, and she's going to decide who wins the debate. Either this side or this side.
Okay, so I guess I'll get a couple of our points were that we believe that
Just present one and then they'll present next.
We believe that having an in-house trainer person is going to help develop the employees better because there's more of a personal connection and you know how the employees are, like the type of learner that they are, so you can probably do the training a little bit faster than if you were to get outside experts.
Well, Ms. Strawbridge, we thought about that point, but we believe that by hiring an outside trainer, you're going to get, they're going to be able to spot more flaws, while with an inside HR trainer, their sites are kind of limited because this might be all they've ever known. They haven't had experience in other companies, so they might, just be kind of limited in their experiences. And then there also could be a little bit of bias towards certain employees. Never know.
Bias.
But don't you think sometimes the bias could work in a good way? Like, have you ever thought that, like, because you're biased, that it will be able to influence the employees more? Like, because if you're working in the company, like, if you have an external HRD person come, their job and their sole job is to teach you what you know. But if you have an internal one, their job is to teach you what you know for the better of the company. Because at the end of the day, external people don't really care about the company. They care about the people. And internal people care about the people that are in the company. And not just the people, but they care about the company as a whole. So the bias thing could go either way.
But like going off that bias, like the internal relationships, that could cause like the trainer to not want to say certain things and like step on someone's toes. Like you might not want to say like, oh, you're not like performing this correctly. Or if you bring someone in from the outside, they don't know any of these people. They're not afraid to say certain things and tell them how they should like perfect what they're doing.
But if they step too far, then the people won't trust them.
Also, a way that we could fix that is by having multiple trainers. So we can have multiple people in the HR department giving different perspectives, because it's not all going to be the same perspective from each trainer. So if we have multiple people doing it, and yes, there could be bias, but I think that it could be working.
But if you have multiple people, they're saying different things, so like the way that the training is, like some people may see the way training is in a different way. So if you have 3 people and that's 3 different opinions how they think it should be done.
They
so
can
that's
have a
confusing.
group goal. They can like discuss like the way that they want the company to go and the direction that they're trying to go in. And if some people learn in different ways, then you can have different perspectives.
There's like only one way you're learning to train though. It's like not a goal.
I feel like that's not very efficient to have 3 different methods of training. I feel like that's like a waste of time, taking away from HR's time to make 3 different training systems.
Well, I'm not saying 3 different training systems. I'm just saying like people can have different perspectives on the way that they learn. So then you can give different perspectives depending on your employees.
Can you guys present one of your points that you have? She's trying to pick the best one. She's like, what do we have?
Well, the HR department usually covers more than just like training, and when you hire like a specialist, this is what their expertise is, and like yes, it's going to cost more money, but you pay for what you get for it, and paying more now will save you in the long run having to deal with like retraining or other things like that.
You guys don't have to rebuttal. You can state your next point, or you can rebuttal.
I guess another one is that, like another point that we had was that the employees will feel more comfortable with the internal sources for training, and they'll be able to ask more questions freely without feeling not as comfortable with other people.
You know, it's like kind of going back to bias. Like if people have like grudges, or like not grudges, but like you just like know people more. So like some people might not feel as comfortable talking to someone that they know that they've been previously had like conflicts with, as in like a random person that you'll never see again in 2 weeks. But I guess that all depends on different personalities in it.
But if the point of HRD is to basically like make relationships and make personal connections to help better efficient with training, because like, I mean, if you take it from like, not even just a company, but even like a school setting, like you want to make a connection with the teacher because that's how you most efficiently learn. Like you're able to like kind of understand where they're coming from if you understand like that person. But if you're only with someone for like 2 or 3 days or even a week, like you're not going to be able to like have that connection with that person. Whereas if you've like seen them before in the office, or if you've like worked with them before, and even like, I mean, kind of just going off of, I don't know your name's point, but like, you know, like there might be that whole like, you know, different organizations and different things, but like HRD people, like if they're told to train, like they're gonna train.
But this company's how big? Like it's a pretty big company, so what are the chances that HR has like relationships with every employee? Like
Right,
I work for a big grocery chain and I don't know my HR people. And I've
Right,
worked
but the
there for 4
immediate
years.
connection you have with that is that you both work for the same company. That you both have a common goal because you both work for the same company, and that you further that goal of the company. That's your common interest. Whereas if you have an external company, they don't care about like the company's goal. They care
That's
about
their
their
job,
training.
so they care about it.
Their job is to make sure that you're being trained efficiently and you understand where they're coming from.
So, everybody has presented very good cases for this debate. But at the end of the day, you know, each side has said very true things, but it's up to the company to decide based on their resources, their money, what they have time and space for. So, CSP Incorporated, international company owner, what do you think?
One thing that didn't come up, both sides did a really good job. One thing that did not come up was expertise.
I think we said that.
You just said that?
You bring in like a specialist who has
Like
like
background
knows this, and this is their one field that they're training in.
Okay. Well, I tell you, it was a really good debate.
Yeah, it was really passionate in here.
No hard feelings.
No hard feelings.
Getting language.
Well, and they also voted money this side. So I'm gonna have to go with outside training.
All right, let's give a sportsmanship and you guys can select your candy. I think there's more candy than there is people in the group, so if anyone wants the leftovers, I don't think it's enough for everybody. All right, thank you guys for participating. That was awesome.
Good job.
Yeah. And in any case, you guys could have one, say if the company had different values or if they had, you know, a different direction that they were going. So, selecting a trainer or a vendor, there's different factors to consider when making a purchase decision. Expertise. The first thing that we talked about in our debate, one of the things that came up was expertise. So, the skills. Maybe your HR department doesn't have that many skills. Maybe they kind of handle benefits more, or maybe they handle different kind. Maybe they're a small HR department. Maybe they don't have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to handle a training issue. Timeliness. It might be that busy time of year where there's just not enough time for the company to come up with their own training. It might be more time efficient to just hire someone to come in who already knows what they're doing. The number of trainees. If it's a huge international company, there might be hundreds of employees that need to be trained on a topic. So doing it in-house might be better. If it's just a few employees, it might be better to hire in-house. And if it's a lot, it might be better to do it through an outside company. The subject matter. So sometimes there can be confidential information, and you might not want to hire an outside company to come in and do the training because you might not want to share that kind of information. It might be better to just stay in-house. So you might want to do it with your own HR company. The cost. That's always going to be a huge one. Companies really care about how much money they're spending, and so it's going to cost more to hire someone from the outside to come in. The size of your human resource department. You might not have enough trainers. You might not have enough people who know what they're doing to lead a training, or there might not be a big enough HR department to handle the problem. And then the book talks about something called an X factor, and these are the extraneous conditions that could be going on within an organization. So maybe the organization has a very special case, and they might need a SME, a subject matter expert, to come in. Or they might have a special case where they specifically need HR to handle it. You know, there's all kinds of different things that can go on in an organization, so it's really just going to be a case-by-case basis. So, why contact an outside trainer? Maybe the firm doesn't have enough expertise to design the program. The company might not have the time to design it. The firm might not have an HRD department or a full-time HR professional. These are just some of the reasons. You guys came up with a lot more reasons during your debate. So try to think back to some of those reasons that we talked about earlier as well. So why use an internal trainer? It can save you money, it can be convenient for employees, it can protect sensitive subject matter, and then again, there's a lot more reasons beyond that why you might want to hire someone internal to do the job. So effective trainers need to be able to communicate efficiently. They should be able to get up in front of a group and talk clearly, have the proper skills to lead a training session. They should be able to use various instructional techniques. So if you're going to use someone internal, you don't want to do that just to save money if it's not going to actually benefit the employees and if they're not going to be able to use the necessary techniques to teach. Then they should have the interpersonal skills. This means that they don't just talk at people. They're able to listen. They're able to interpret the vibes of the crowd. They're able to distinguish which direction the group is going in, things like that. And they should be able to motivate others to learn. They want to be able to keep the learners interested in what's going on, present the benefits of why they're being taught the information. And so then there's a thing called a Train the Trainer program. And basically what that is you might need to hire a subject matter expert to come in. So let's think about an example we used last class. We were talking about, say if there's a company that had construction workers, and the construction workers were getting injured on the job. So our HR department, we know how to train, we know how to teach, but we might not know about back safety when you're on a roof. So we would hire a subject matter expert to come in. So say if we hire the head of the construction company to teach us about back safety, we can train that construction worker on how to help us teach the lesson. We can train that trainer on how to present how to implement the training, how to teach the learners, how to teach the construction workers, so that the head construction worker can use his knowledge to spread it to other employees. Any questions there? Do you guys understand that concept? Great. So now we're going to move on to setting objectives. Objectives are defined by Robert Major. You can see the definition here. It's basically describing what you want learners to be able to do after the training happens. What you want them to exhibit, what you want them to learn, what you want them to say, whatever the action is, what you want them to understand after you teach them. That's what an objective is. It's used as the basis for determining which method should be used to achieve the outcome. So that's basically saying objectives are listed out and your lesson is formed based on the objectives. So your objectives are your goals. And so everything you do after that should always point back to your goals. Objectives define what participants will learn or do as a result of participating. They define the problem at hand and the diagnosis of problems. And they also define the outcome the program is intended to produce. So objectives are telling people what they should expect, what they should do, what we're going to talk about, so that people are on the right track of mind as we go through the lesson. They already know where we're headed because of the objectives. So the objectives are always going at the beginning of the lesson. So why are we putting objectives first? They keep your training on track. When you develop your objectives first, then you can plan every single thing that you do underneath those objectives. Your objectives should line up directly with your content. So if your objective is to teach the employees how to screw in a light bulb, you don't want to have content that's talking about the company's return on investment. You want it to relate directly back to screwing in the light bulb. Your objective should also tell the employees what the expectations are and how learners are supposed to meet them. Basically, just present the information to the employees so that they know what they should be able to do, they know how they should be able to be successful after the training. And they can also shape employees' performance. Once they know what they're expected to do, they will often try to meet those expectations because they're listed up front. Objectives are used by organizations to be a basis for selecting the program content and methods, to evaluate the program's success, and to help participants focus their attention and efforts during the program. So if you know your objective is to teach them how to screw in a light bulb, the video was saying at the end you test them and see, were you able to screw in a light bulb? And if they were, then you know that they learned. That's another reason why we have objectives and we do a pre-test and we do a post-test. The pre-test is showing you what you knew before. The objectives are showing you what you should be able to learn through the training. And then the post-test shows you if you actually learned. So Robert Major, our buddy, again, is talking about what the 3 critical aspects or qualities that are included in objectives: the performance, the conditions, and the criteria. So the performance, again, is what the employee should be able to do. So say if you have an objective and it says, write a product profile for a proposed new product. That was a lot of P's in that sentence. But the performance is to write. So we know that they're going to be doing something. The conditions are basically under what must they do it. So an example of that is, given all available engineering data regarding a proposed product, a trainee will write a product profile. So the condition is given all available engineering data. So we know, okay, I'm going to have some data to be able to do this. And then the criteria is used in judging their success. So the criteria is how well do you need to do it. So you could say by getting an 80% on your post-test, or you could say by accurately completing the diagnostic test at the end. So now we're going to go over how we actually write objectives. Begin with a statement saying when the objective should be achieved. So at the beginning of this lesson, I said, by the end of this lesson, the learner will be able to. You could say by the end of this training session, the learner will be able to. You could say by the end of this workshop, the learner will be able to. So it's just giving them a statement saying, now this is what you're going to do. So each of the following bullet points will begin with an action verb. So it should begin with write, it should begin with say, understand. There's a great list of all kinds of action words that can be used in objectives online that you can look up based on Bluebee's taxonomy, and you can use those action words to start off your sentence in your objective statements. The main intent should be stated, so it should be clear so that the learner knows exactly what you're saying. So it shouldn't use a lot of extra wordage that confuses the learner. And it should include a description of all of the conditions that will influence the training. So that can vary based on what the